Hi guys, North Cinematics here. Hope you're all doing well. Today I want to talk about 6 days in Fallujah because we do have some new gameplay that I do want to showcase with you guys on this channel today. So if you could drop us a like on the video, that would be much appreciated. Just helps with the visibility and the algorithm. Hopefully, the video gets seen by more people. So if you can do that, that would be very awesome. First off, this game is coming to consoles and PC sometime this year as a tactical first-person hardcore shooter telling the stories of soldiers in the Iraq War. Now onto the gameplay reveal, and this was fresh new gameplay that was uploaded to IGN's channel today, and I had a look through it and it looked very good, very cool, and I picked up so many interesting details that I do want to talk about in today's video. So first off, let's talk about the procedural generated maps, and I have to say this was something that really sort of leapt up and really caught my attention basically. And the procedural generated maps are going to mean that the missions aren't ever going to be the same. It's always going to be different, always going to be fresh, and it's going to increase that replayability for the player. And it's going to mean that the buildings are going to be in different places. It's going to mean objects are going to be in different areas. Cover is going to be in different places from the last time that you tried it, and the AI are going to spawn in different areas. They could come from behind, they could come in front, from the side. It's just going to create that unknown, and I think that's what the developers are really trying to go for, trying to capture that realism element of the Iraq War, of not knowing where the enemy is. And I think that's a real important feature that I think needs to be mentioned, because having procedural generated maps, I think that's a big thing. That's a huge feature. And having a 4-player co-op, squadding up with your buddies, getting communication, kicking down doors, breaching different areas, not knowing who's behind that door, whether it's an enemy or a civilian, that's going to be very tense. Now, I did notice that it did look clunky in some areas, but I think it's got huge potential. Like, the gunplay looked decent, but it needed a bit more polish, maybe a little bit more recoil as well, give it some punch, and really so the player feels like they're in control of this weapon and they're holding something that's got weight and impact. But other than that, the levels were really put together well. The graphics looked good. It looked decent. It looked like something from a 2021 title. So graphically speaking, it looks good. It sounded good for the most part. But that gunplay, I think, needs to be improved, and maybe the AI as well. It did seem in some places the AI were kind of getting in your way, but hopefully they can polish that, because this is only alpha footage. So you do have to remember that it is alpha footage. So this can change, and this could be footage from quite some time ago, and it could very well have been polished up and looking in a better state than this. The modes within 6 days in Fallujah. So far, from what I can see, we're going to have a co-op of between 1 and 4 players. We're going to have a campaign, a solo campaign, and I'm not sure about multiplayer. There was no mention of multiplayer within 6 days in Fallujah. I genuinely think it would be quite an interesting addition, but I don't think many people are that interested about it. I think most people just want to see a good solid co-op experience or a solo experience. But I think multiplayer, if implemented well, could add a bit more value to the game. Maybe it's something that they're looking at in the near future, but they don't know how to go about it. I don't know. Are they going to go for something like Insurgency Sandstorm? Maybe add like a domination mode, or maybe something with some sort of objective mode where you can be tactical on a multiplayer experience where it's PvP. It could be interesting to see how they go about that, but as far as I know, it's just co-op and a solo experience. Destruction within 6 days in Fallujah. I have to mention destruction because the original titles, the 6 days in Fallujah, the original one that got canned due to a numerous number of reasons, but that did have destruction in it, and it was going for a Bad Company 2 style destruction. So it was the ability to destroy all kinds of different buildings. It seems like it was going for every building to be destructible, every wall to be destructible. But from what I could see of the latest 6 days in Fallujah footage that we saw today on IGN, it didn't seem like there was any sort of destruction on there. And I think they would have done a big mention about that, saying we've got destructible environments. But from what I could see, it didn't seem like the bullets were penetrating the walls. It didn't seem like anyone was blowing any buildings up or walls to create different avenues for the player to go through. It seems like it was quite a static environment, but I could be wrong. Maybe there is destruction, but from what I could see, I didn't see any destruction, which I think is a little bit of a shame because I think it could have been a nice, interesting feature to be implemented. But overall, I think 6 Days in Fallujah is something that needs to be on your radar. The kicking down the doors, that fear, creating that psychological effect on the player of not knowing who's behind it. I think that's quite interesting, merging, I guess it's not horror, but it's more of that psychological effect, merging it in with a first-person shooter, not knowing if it's a civilian or an enemy. I think that's really cool, and they're really trying to capture that realism element of the Iraq War, of that unknown for those soldiers, and I think they're really trying to capture that and put it into 6 Days in Fallujah. So I think that's going to be really cool to say, but I look forward to this game. I think it's an interesting tactical shooter, but let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. But either way, it's great to see more of these tactical shooters come over to console. We've got obviously 6 Days in Fallujah, we've got Hell Let Loose, we've got Operation Harsh Doorstop, we've got things like Verdun and Tannenberg, and we've heard about Insurgency Sandstorm as well. Hopefully all those titles do eventually come over to consoles, but it's great to see that we're seeing more of these hardcore tactical shooters coming over to consoles. So if you could drop us a like on the video, subscribe for more, and until next time, have a good one.